Chapter 606. Gathering. Chen Guo had lived in the area around Happy Internet Cafe for close to 30 years and was incredibly familiar with it. However, Yi Shu had only been here for about 7 years too, so he wasn't too unfamiliar with it. Even though he seldom went out during those 7 years, Yi Shu still knew about the Forest Park neighborhood. Forest Park was considered an upper-middle-class neighborhood. Quite a few people from Club Excellent era lived here. The boss Dao Zhan had property in this neighborhood and had once invited the entire team over during a vacation period for a party. In the blink of an eye, the things stayed the same, but the people have changed. Yi Shu couldn't help but let out a sigh. The contract starts in April. Why don't you take a look, pick a room, and give some ideas on how to arrange everything? Chen Guo pulled the sighing Yi Shu back to reality. Oh, me? It doesn't matter. We can talk about it when the time comes, Yi Shu said. Chen Guo was helpless. Clothing, food, housing, and transport were basic human needs. In most people's eyes, shouldn't this have been an urgent issue? But for Yi Shu, all of these were unimportant. Chen Guo reckoned that he would probably be more nervous over discovering that he had no cigarettes left. When will Steamed Bun be coming over? Chen Guo asked. Didn't he buy a ticket to come? Yi Shu said. You haven't gotten any messages from him? Chen Guo and Tang Ru had spent the entire day looking for housing. None, Yi Shu said. Maybe he already bought the ticket and is already on his way here? Chen Guo wondered. If it's Steamed Bun. It's definitely possible, Yi Shu said. These guys. Chen Guo looked up at the ceiling. She suddenly realized that she was carrying a lot of weight on her shoulder. Should we also call over Old Way Over? Yi Shu asked his boss. Sure. Call over anyone you'd like. We've already have the housing settled. Let's not put it to waste. Chen Guo remembered the reminder Tang Ru had given her that afternoon. The house rent was expensive and it was very likely much of the money would go to waste because they didn't have enough people to fill the house yet. Steamed Bun Invasion could throw down whatever he was doing and buy a ticket to come over, but Little Cold Hands and Concealed Light were university students. They probably didn't have the luxury to do that. They most likely needed to stay on school grounds. Unfortunately, Chen Guo was too happy with the suite. She had barely stepped into the suite and she made a deal immediately out of impulse. The deal went so quickly that the real estate agent almost laughed. From Tang Ru's logical point of view, it was extremely likely much of the money for rent would go to waste. When Chen Guo thought about her contribution to the team, she still felt satisfied with the decision. As for money, Chen Guo didn't place too much value on it. If everything was prepared well, recruits would be more willing to join. If she had to hurry and make emergency arrangements, wouldn't that be too abnormal? Thinking about it this way, Chen Guo felt like the money spent was well worth it. Meanwhile, as soon as Yi Shu got the nod, he contacted Wei Chen. Oh, so it's like that? It's not too inconvenient for me, but I have a bunch of brothers that I usually hang out with too. Wei Chen was a bit hesitant, but he was just a bit regretful. He clearly knew that if they were going to create a team, everyone would need to be together in one place. No matter how much he loved his friends, he couldn't demand that his friends come to the pro scene with him. Okay, I'll make some arrangements and I'll be over there soon. Wei Chen was a decisive person and quickly gave his answer. Okay, I'll be waiting. Yi Shu didn't say any more. Over the next few days, Yi Shu didn't use his unrivaled Super Hottie account. Instead, he used Lord Grimm and continued to level. With unrivaled Super Hottie gone, Zhang Yu, as well as the other core members of Tyrannical Ambition, knew why, but the other normal players didn't know the reason. The players of all the branch guilds were still waiting for the incredible tank to help them pass through any difficulties in their way, but suddenly, he vanished. Many of their players were very upset. However, this was a game. If someone suddenly disappeared, it wasn't too weird. Unrivaled Super Hottie was only deeply missed because of the abnormal amount of attention they had placed onto him. After being gone for a few days, everyone slowly forgot about his existence. Yi Shu's leveling with Lord Grimm was going smoothly. Apart from the loads of experience from dungeons, he didn't need to worry about the big guilds bothering him anymore. Even though it had been a good while since Lord Grimm had entered the heavenly domain, Yi Shu had no idea what policies the big guilds had towards him. In short, he would do what he could to defend himself. Dungeons were naturally safe places for him to be. As long as he went into one, he wouldn't need to be afraid of anyone bothering him. The number of heavenly domain dungeons were as numerous as there were hairs on cows. If the dungeons were as numerous as cow hairs, dungeon entrances were even more numerous. Guarding the dungeon entrances and waiting for him to come like they could in the normal servers was impossible here. Yi Shu cleared dungeons all day and Lord Grimm's experience shot up. His leveling speed was even faster than it had been in the normal servers. The rewards in the heavenly domain were far greater than they were in the normal server. This was the same for experience and money. However, his level 50 to 55 leveling had been too bumpy of a journey. Yi Shu's fast leveling these past few days wasn't even close to catching up to the highest leveled players in the 10th server, who were already level 67 and pushing for level 70. Players like Tangru's Soft Mist used to be among the highest leveled players in the server, but after some time, they had been slowly tossed behind. After all, they couldn't level their characters 24/7 like Guild's characters could. This time advantage couldn't be made up for by Tangru's advantage in player skill. None of this mattered though. After Yi Shu's Lord Grimm entered the heavenly domain, their battle had shifted. In the normal servers, even though there were valuable resources to be competed for, in the heavenly domain, normal server items became cheaper. It wasn't worth spending most of his effort on the 10th server. What's more, their strength hadn't really come together yet. With limited resources, it would be better to place more importance on the heavenly domain. Even if they had to trade the items that they earned for items from normal servers, it would still be worth it. As for what to compete for, currently, Yi Shu needed to complete his 1000 Chance Umbrella and Wei Chen's Death Hand. With a goal, the two knew what needed to be done. If they could get anything else along the way, they would take it. After all, relying on 2 silver weapons to strike the heavens down wasn't realistic. Their other equipment would need to be complete too. The other members of the team would need suitable equipment too. There was no such thing as having too many materials. If they weren't useful, they could be traded for money. Yi Shu was just leveling these past few days, so he didn't have much else to do. As for Wei Chen, after making arrangements to come over, he continued to swim around in samsara. His journey to the top of the guild was essentially the same as Yi Shu's unrivaled Super Hottie. However, he wasn't as dramatic as unrivaled Super Hottie, who rose all the way up in just a few days. During the 2 weeks that unrivaled Super Hottie shone his way up in tyrannical ambition, he slowly worked his way up in samsara from a newly joined member to an elite. After all, his skill level was there. The big guilds wouldn't ignore such a talent. However, even though he was an elite, he was still far away from being a core member. It was similar to unrivaled Super Hottie's situation in tyrannical ambition. Even if Zhang Yu hadn't seen through Yi Shu's identity, someone who had only just joined could only do hard work at first. To become a core member of the guild, skill wasn't important. Trust was. This was the hardest part about being a spy. If all you need was skill to become a core member, then the guilds would just send one of their experts to immediately become a spy. Speaking of which, it wasn't the first time guilds had exploited experts like unrivaled Super Hottie. Many spies that had been compromised were intentionally ignored by the guild and used as hard labor instead. The spies didn't know that they had been caught and were doing their best to win the favor of the guild. Their skill was good, so they were very confident. When the crucial moment came and the spy was misinformed, nothing could be more tragic for that spy than. Wei Chen had played glory for so many years. There was nothing that he didn't know about. During his time in samsara, he showed his skill, but he didn't dare to be too outstanding. If anyone showed ridiculous skill like unrivaled Super Hottie did, with the current situation in the heavenly domain, there was only one label that could be put on him: Yi Chu. As a result, Wei Chen had counted the many times that Yi Shu had failed to be a spy. His commotion made everyone's work that much harder. However, with Wei Chen's ability, he just needed to casually play and he had more than enough skill to stand out among other players. With too much skill, he would be suspicious, but he would also gain a lot of attention. It was a double-edged sword. If he didn't rely on displaying his skill, then it would take too long to climb up the guild's ladder. Other spies had the time, but he and Yi Shu didn't. Thus, Wei Chen went around brandishing his double-edged sword. At the fight for the North Bridge Mage, Wei Chen was amongst the Samsara's elite troops. He wasn't a core member of Samsara, but his current status was already enough for Yi Shu's purposes. Maybe Samsara was still suspicious of Wei Chen's identity and was using him as a helper for now, but it didn't matter to him. Because in terms of power, their guild couldn't compare to the club guilds. The various club guilds need to receive information multiple times to confirm it, but for Yishu and the others, this was too much work. If they could directly participate in these battles, it was equivalent to knowing the situation. If not, with just Yishu and the others alone, how could they find wild bosses that randomly spawned every week? I'll come over tomorrow. Send me the address. At 8 p.m. on April 1st, Wei Chen suddenly messaged Yishu over QQ. 15 minutes later, Steamed Bun Invasion Steamed Bun icon suddenly up. Senior. I bought my ticket. I'm on the train. I'll be there soon. Steamed Bun, you've used the same ticket for the past few days? Yishu asked. Chapter 607. A Special Day. The successive messages from Wei Chen and Steamed Bun Invasion, along with the fact that it was April 1st, made Yishu very suspicious, but then again, Wei Chen had asked for the address, so he himself could come over. It didn't seem like an April Fool's joke. Could he be thinking that they were going to host a huge welcome celebration for him and it would be funny if he didn't show up? Even though Wei Chen was very shameless, he wasn't stupid. Yishu was more doubtful about Steamed Bun Invasion though. This guy immediately decided to go buy a ticket over here. Then, he suddenly told him that he was on the train today. The several-day gap didn't conform with common sense. However, this was Steamed Bun Invasion. He wasn't a normal person. Using common sense to figure him out would be a mistake. As a result, Yishu asked Steamed Bun Invasion what he had been doing these past few days. Sigh. Nothing I could do, Steamed Bun Invasion replied quickly. QQ indicated that Steamed Bun Invasion was using the app on his cell phone. Typing on the phone limited his typing speed. I bought the ticket that very day, but when my friends heard I was going to become a pro player, they wanted to give me a goodbye party. Today, we'll party. Tomorrow, we'll party. The next day, we'll party. We partied for several days. I had to keep on changing my tickets until today, Steamed Bun Invasion explained. Wow, I'm sorry for troubling you, Yishu said. It's okay. I'll be there soon. Senior, where am I headed? Steamed Bun Invasion asked. Yishu saw that Steamed Bun was asking him for directions. It didn't seem like an April Fool's joke, so he gave him his address, just like he did for Wei Chen. Can you find it? Yishu sent the address over to Steamed Bun Invasion and asked. Relax, Steamed Bun Invasion was very confident. If you can't find it, just give me a call. Yishu gave Chen Guo's cell phone number to Steamed Bun Invasion. I think the probability of me using this phone number will definitely be 0, Steamed Bun Invasion said. I hope so, Yishu said. After giving the two people the address, Yishu went to find Chen Guo and told her the news, but Chen Guo looked at him warily. After starting at Yishu for several seconds, she finally asked, Are you serious? Yishu was helpless. It was a special day after all. You always had to be cautious. Yishu put on his serious face and said, I'm serious. Think of it this way, today is April Fool's Day, but wouldn't using this sort of joke be too lame? Chen Guo listened, but didn't let her guard down. She actually became even more wary and nervously asked, Then what do you plan on doing? How old am I? Do you think I have something planned? Yishu looked at her in disdain and left. Speaking of which, Chen Guo wasn't usually afraid of April Fool's Day. In the morning, Tang Ru and several other employees had pulled a small prank on her. Most people wouldn't be too excessive with it. However, the god in her internet cafe could summon storms in-game. Chen Guo was actually quite afraid of what type of shameless prank he might play on her. Seeing Yishu look at her with disdain and walk away, Chen Guo wasn't angry. She actually felt quite relieved. The rest of the day went on like normal. It was just April Fool's Day. It wasn't a holiday or anything. Glory didn't prepare anything special for today either. However, in the competitive scene, today was a competition day and April was an important period for the pros. The Professional Alliance usually held competitive matches every week. If there were any big holidays or other special occasions on those days, the schedule would be adjusted accordingly. The season usually started in the middle of August and ended on the first third of May the next year. The middle third of May would be the playoffs, where the top 8 teams would enter an elimination-style tournament until the champion was crowned. April meant that the season was coming to an end. Teams with outstanding records or extremely terrible records might already know their general placings. For example, in this 8th season, April 1st was a Saturday, a match day. April had 5 Saturdays and May had 2 Saturdays for a total of 7 match days until the season ended. This was a few days more than other seasons. Usually, when April came, there would only be 5 or 6 match days left. At this point, the placements of a few teams were already determined. For example, Blue Rain, Samsara, Tiny Herb, Tyranny were way ahead of the rest. They had already been guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. The remaining 7 matches would determine their seedings. Currently, after the All-Star weekend, Samsara had shot past Tiny Herb and grasped the number 2 spot. These 7 matches would be a competition between Samsara and Blue Rain to see who would take first in the regular season. Unfortunately, none of the remaining matches matched Samsara and Blue Rain in a direct confrontation. This situation put less pressure on the teams, but the alliance didn't like it too much. In Glory, they often called these situations killer matches. In these remaining 7 matches, these 4 teams wouldn't care as much because they had already locked in their playoff spots, so there would usually be less highlights in these matches. In addition to that, these 4 teams were without a doubt some of the most popular teams in the alliance. If their matches were less suspenseful, the number of viewers would drastically decrease. At this stage, the media stopped placing importance on these popular teams and spent more time reporting the other teams fighting for the remaining 4 playoff spots. Misty Rain, Void, Wind Howl, 301 Thunderclap, 100 Blossoms, and Royal Style. These 7 teams were currently the focal point of the media and the only teams with the possibility of grabbing a playoff spot. Misty Rain and Void had steady positions and led the pack. Wind Howl and 301 were under a lot of pressure. If the 3 teams behind them wanted to move up, the 3 teams would need to step over their corpses. Team Thunderclap was currently in 9th place, just outside the top 8. However, their 7 remaining matches were against easy teams, so their chances of making it into the playoffs were highly likely. Before Zhangjiao's retirement, let alone the playoffs, Team 100 Blossoms were frequently in the finals. However, this season, their team had been thrown into disorder and their record wasn't very stable. They kept on bouncing back and forth between the door to the playoffs. It was very likely that they wouldn't be able to make it into the playoffs, making the fans very nervous. Team Royal Style was in the worst spot of these 7 teams. Not only was it in last compared to the rest of the 7 teams, the next few matches for them wouldn't be easy. However, since the top 4 teams had guaranteed their spot in the playoffs, it might not be so bad. The next matches would be difficult because Team Royal Style needed to face all of the top 4 teams, but since the top 4 had guaranteed their spot, they would be much more relaxed in their matches and Royal Style might be able to pull off a win against them. The probability of which of the 7 teams would earn a playoff spot had been analyzed by all sorts of professionals and fans, but because today was a special day, the headlines weren't about these 7 teams. The headline, Excellent Era is out. Is this an April Fool's Day joke? Correct, Excellent Era continued to perform poorly. After the All-Star weekend, they had returned back to the brink of relegations. They were only 1 point higher than the second to last place team. 1 point. It was very likely that after today's match, Team Excellent Era would drop into the relegation zone. And with their current morale, if they dropped, whether they would actually be able to come back was a very big issue. The media and fans had criticized Team Excellent Era for over a month now. Team Excellent Era kept on expressing their stance on their record, but nothing worked. Their placing kept on dropping. They would occasionally show moments of brilliance in the individual and group arena competitions, but over the past 3 months, Excellent Era had yet to win a single team competition. The fans couldn't help but think of the team's glorious moments in the past and they kept on bringing up the retired team captain Yi Chu. If Yi Chu were still there, the team would still be such and such. This type of question would often come up in these sorts of moments. Many people happily forgot that Yi Chu had led the team and they weren't performing well either. These were the same people that had criticized him then. Team Excellent Era's match had become a focal point in the competition too. As a result, like before, Chen Guo didn't avoid playing Excellent Era's matches when they were a highlight of the day. Tonight, Happy Internet Cafe had arranged to broadcast Excellent Era's match. After a period of time, Happy Internet Cafe had gotten used to not playing Excellent Era's matches every time. Gradually, the weekend broadcasts became popular again. City H had many Excellent Era fans, but that didn't mean everybody was one. Even the area near Club Excellent Era wouldn't only have Excellent Era fans. Happy Internet Cafe's broadcasts suited the appetites of fans, who supported other teams or only wanted to watch the big branded teams play, so these fans happily came over on the weekends to watch. However, without everyone supporting the same team, the atmosphere wasn't as passionate as before. Even so, for those who had never seen this type of internet cafe before, it was still quite impressive. What's going on? Are people protesting? A person stood at the entrance of Happy Internet Cafe. Half his face was covered by his long hair. The other half of his face showed his youthfulness. At this moment, he was holding onto his cell phone. He looked at Happy Internet Cafe very seriously before walking in. The huge crowd of people inside made him very surprised. However, he didn't show any fear towards the crowd. He calmly walked towards the front desk and flipped his long hair aside. He was just about to say something, when he suddenly stopped. He took out his cell phone, while calling out to the sister in charge of the cash register, "Hold on. I forgot the word." Chapter 608. An Unimaginable Matter. While the girl working the cashier looked at him in confusion, the long-haired youth glanced at his phone and repeatedly said, "Oh." Then, he lifted his head and asked with a grin, "Chen Guo?" "Steamed bun," someone called out from near the register. Yishu and Chen Guo were standing there. When the internet cafe broadcasted a popular match, the two wouldn't go to the front and steal a good seat from a customer. They usually sat far away and watched from the cash register. "Yes." This youth responded and turned his head around. He saw a male and a female nearby, smiling at him. Lord Grimm, chasing Haze, Yishu took out his account ID and introduced himself and Chen Guo. Oh, I'm Steamed Bun Invasion. I'm here," Steamed Bun Invasion said. "I can see that," Yishu laughed. "What's going on? Is someone making a ruckus? I'll help you out." Steamed Bun Invasion wasn't shy with strangers and quickly blended in as a Happy Internet Cafe employee. He had already begun rolling up his sleeves. No, a match is being broadcast," Chen Guo hastily stopped him. She was afraid Steamed Bun Invasion would start pulling a mob. "Match? There usually aren't any matches at this time. La Liga or Serie A?" Steamed Bun Invasion asked in wonder. "It's a Glory Alliance match," Chen Guo said. "Glory Alliance match. Oh, Steamed Bun Invasion suddenly understood what was going on and then said seriously, "You're right. We're going to be entering the Professional Alliance, so we have to watch more competitive matches in order to understand our opponents. Who will we be watching today?" Right when he said this, the broadcast host began speaking. The most important match today, between Team Excellent Era and Team Void, was about to begin. "Oh, Excellent Era, Void. These two teams. We have to watch them carefully," Steamed Bun Invasion said seriously. "Then let's watch," Yishu said. Of course, Steamed Bun Invasion turned his head, maintaining his pose as a cash register. His eyes began focusing on the match. "I'm 100% certain that this person is Steamed Bun Invasion," Chen Guo whispered to Yishu. "In any case, he's definitely not Old Wei," Yishu said. "Why?" Chen Guo asked. Yishu turned his head. "I'd recognize Old Wei." Oh, Chen Guo had to admit that she had asked a very stupid question. The match soon began. Because it was an Excellent Era match, there were many Excellent Era fans squeezed into the internet cafe today. As soon as it started, there were lots of cheering and sounds of worry. Right now, the fans were very concerned with the team's current situation. It seems like there's a lot of support for Excellent Era. Team Void shouldn't have any less fans than them. Steamed Bun Invasion watched the match, but commentated on the internet cafe's audience. He didn't hear any Void fans competing against Excellent Era fans like he had expected. The noise from the Excellent Era fans covered up everything. Void has no energy. It looks to me like they'll be losing tonight. Steamed Bun Invasion came to this conclusion. "Let's watch the match, Steamed Bun," Yishu said. Roger that. Steamed Bun Invasion respected Yishu's wishes and continued to pay attention to the match. As the match progressed, more and more angry shouts were coming from the Excellent Era fans. The three Excellent Era players who came out to compete for the individual competition lost all 3 rounds, making the Excellent Era fans in Happy Internet Cafe very upset. Even Steamed Bun Invasion saw the result and whispered with wide eyes, "No way. How could it be like this? It seemed like he had been very confident in his previous prediction. Amidst the cursing, the group arena competition began. There were many twists and turns, causing everyone to be on edge, but in the end, Excellent Era managed to win the group arena and earned 2 points. The Excellent Era fans relaxed a bit and began nervously paying attention to the most important team competition. What's your predictions? Chen Guo liked to listen to Yishu's predictions of every match. Even though he didn't predict every single match's outcome correctly, his analysis was very knowledgeable. Chen Guo felt that her skill in glory wouldn't improve much from his analysis in terms of mechanical skill, but her theoretical knowledge improved greatly. Now, she was gradually learning and sometimes even looked down on the comments made by the commentator and analyst. It's obvious, Yishu shook his head. His expression didn't look too good. Excellent Era will lose. Chen Guo saw the look on Yishu's face and stopped herself from stealing a laugh. Right now, she hoped Excellent Era would fail. However, seeing Yishu's mood, it wouldn't be good to be too excessive. She could empathize with Yishu's feelings towards the team. As a result, at this moment, in order to hold back her laugh, she thought about Su Mucheng and how she would also fail alongside the team. By doing this, she wouldn't say anything out loud about Excellent Era's misfortune. Excellent Era is a disaster right now, Yishu said. The outside world is analyzing the reasons, but I think it's mainly because of that one time, Chen Guo said. When she said that one time, she was referring to when Excellent Era sent out their starting lineup into the game only to end up being smashed by Yishu and a group of players. From then on, Team Excellent Era's playing only got worse and worse. It's not only because of that time. The current Excellent Era has too many holes. No one in the team cares enough to try and fix them, Yishu said. How terrible. It's such a waste for Mumu to continue being on that team. Is there any way to get her to leave early? Chen Guo suggested. If Su Mucheng was no longer a part of the team, she could be at ease cursing Excellent Era to death. But Yishu didn't reply to her question. If this continues, Excellent Era might even get relegated this season. Really? Wouldn't that be tragic for Mumu? Another thing. If Excellent Era is relegated, then they will be our opponents in the Challenger League. With Excellent Era participating in the Challenger League, things will be very difficult, Yishu said. Ah. Chen Guo didn't think about this point. Now that Yishu mentioned it, she suddenly understood. Don't look at how terribly Excellent Era was doing this season. They still had the Battle God 1 Autumn Leaf and Sun Shang. Their recognition wasn't without a reason. If they didn't have this sort of strong foundation, Excellent Era's relegation would never have been reported as an April Fool's joke. Clearly, such a strong team like Excellent Era being relegated was something unimaginable by fans and the media alike. However, nothing in this world is absolute. This unimaginable occurrence was happening right now. The team competition soon began. Even Chen Guo shook her head upon seeing the confrontation between the two sides. Excellent Era tried to coordinate, but their coordination was too mechanical. They didn't seem to make any adjustments according to their opponent's moves. It was as if they were following a script, executing it one line at a time. Every single player executed their lines perfectly, but the problem was that their opponents weren't blocks of wood. As soon as Void made adjustments, Excellent Era's moves clearly stopped being effective. Soon afterwards, Void's Ghostblade duo, Li Zan and Wu Yus, showed their might and completely gained control of the battle. Excellent Era quickly fell into a losing battle. Even the analyst and commentator could point out all of Excellent Era's issues. The team members of Excellent Era were losing so badly, they no longer had any confidence left. They knew that they needed to make adjustments according to the situation, but none of them dared to make them. All of them were afraid of being the ones to blame if they lost the match. As a result, they simply followed the tactical guidelines word for word. It could be said that Excellent Era's team was following the guidelines too well. This was a PvP competitive match. Following each step precisely was what players did in PvE situations. If they took that to a pro match, how could they not lose? When the match between Team Excellent Era and Team Void finished, several other matches had finished as well. Among these was Team Bright Green, which had only been 1 point lower than Excellent Era. All of the fans checked the points tally. Fortunately, Team Bright Green gave them a thread of consolation because Team Bright Green also performed extremely poorly. Just like Team Excellent Era, they had only received 2 points. Team Excellent Era still had a 1-point advantage. The teams already in the relegation zone wasn't having it easy either. They were in just as tragic a position as Team Excellent Era. Speaking of which, even though Excellent Era had recently been declining, from the recent points earned, they couldn't compare to Bright Green. Even so, the majority of people still favored Excellent Era. After all, Excellent Era still had their resources. Their team's strength was still there. As for Bright Green, their team's strength and record were their real strength. Bright Green couldn't be used as an April Fool's joke like Excellent Era could. When the match ended, the Excellent Era fans were already numb to Team Excellent Era's disastrous results. They didn't curse or shout angrily. All of them felt dispirited, as if their spirits had floated away. To think Excellent Era would actually lose so badly. It was totally contrary to my expectations. Tisk tisk tisk, Steam Bun Invasion sighed. He still believed the louder voice would have win. As for actual analysis of the match, he couldn't compare to Chen Guo. Okay, stop reflecting on it. Yishu patted him on the back and turned his head towards Chen Guo. Let's get a late-night snack as a welcome gift for Steam Bun. Sure, Chen Guo nodded his head and called over Tang Ru. Hi, Steam Bun. Tang Ru hadn't squeezed into the crowd to watch the match. Only now did she come down. After hearing that Steam Bun Invasion had arrived, she also ran over to call out to him. Soft mist, Yishu introduced her by her game ID. Ah, it's you. Amazing. You're fierce in game and you look fierce too. Steam Bun Invasion was deeply moved. You look fierce. Is that a compliment? Tang Ru smiled. Of course, Steam Bun Invasion nodded his head. Okay, let's go. Chen Guo raised her boss voice and left the internet cafe together with them. After that, she took them to a place. Yishu looked and sighed. He was also familiar with this place. When he was still in Excellent Era, he had been here many times to grab a late-night snack. However, at that time, the people he usually ate with. Yishu walked in, while looking back on his memories. Suddenly, he saw the person whom he had just been thinking about. He was sitting in his usual spot too. Excellent Era's boss, Dao Zhan. Chapter 609. Unexpectedly here. Dao Zhan wasn't the only person sitting here. Next to him was Club Excellent Era's director, Kui Li. These two people were, without a doubt, the two top executives of Club Excellent Era. For them to show up together here was already very surprising to Yishu because today was Team Excellent Era's away match. Moreover, this match would decide whether or not Team Excellent Era would drop into relegations. However, these two executives apparently didn't go to support their team. Not long after the match ended, they came over here for a late-night snack. It was very unusual. Kui Li was sitting, facing the entrance. After seeing Yishu, he signaled in front of him. Dao Zhan turned around and the two looked at Yishu. What a coincidence. To think that we would bump into each other here, Yishu greeted. Chen Guo was still choosing a seat and hadn't been paying attention to her surroundings. When she heard Yishu say something, she turned her gaze over and saw the two sitting there. She quickly recognized them. Kui Li frequently showed up in the news and Dao Zhan had personally come to visit the internet cafe. Chen Guo suddenly felt the atmosphere become awkward, but after examining them for a while, she realized none of them felt awkward at all. The three guys were acting very comfortable, as if this wasn't an uncomfortable situation. Seeing their friendly smiles, the scene looked more like friends unexpectedly bumping into each other. It definitely didn't look like there were any existing conflict between the three. Chen Guo deeply felt like she had said enough. The other side also had people who could talk. Kui Li replied to Yishu, yeah, what a coincidence. I won't keep bothering you guys then. Yishu clearly didn't plan on conversing with the other side too much. However, Kui Li was very interested in their group. He laughed, you're not bothering us at all. Are these fellows with you your future team members? How about introducing them to us? In the future, we'll certainly be interacting with each other anyways. Chen Guo was the boss of an internet cafe and she often made deals with people. She immediately heard the deeper intent in Kui Li's words. Right when she was about to reply, Steam Bun Invasion actually responded faster than her. He jumped out and said, so you're also someone in this profession? How lucky. This little bro is Steam Bun Invasion. My friends call me Steam Bun. What's your name? Haha, Kui Li smiled. Kui Li, Club Excellent Era's director. Some might call me a leader. This is our boss. Oh 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 oh, Steam Bun Invasion repeated oh 4 times and then asked, what's that? Ha 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 ha, Chen Guo laughed so hard that one of the waiters was startled. Tang Ru could control herself, but she was clearly having a hard time holding herself back. Only when Yi Shu explained to Steam Bun Invasion in a serious tone did he understand. The director is someone who manages the club in most situations. The boss is the owner of everything in the club. He manages the club behind the scenes. Oh, very senior, Steam Bun Invasion asked. Of course. They're much more senior than us, Yi Shu said. Age? Steam Bun Invasion looked at the two of them and asked. You were asking about their age? Yi Shu had a hard time following Steam Bun Invasion's thought process. Pretty much, Steam Bun Invasion said. As for what this pretty much meant, even Yi Shu had trouble understanding. However, one of Yi Shu's strengths was that he didn't care much for what you meant. I'll say what I want according to what I understand, so he continued, if you're talking about age, they're both older than us. Amazing, Steam Bun Invasion praised. His comment was another mystery within a mystery. From what it looked like, he was praising how old they were. But why was being old something so amazing? Kui Li's expression continued to appear calm, but he was feeling very embarrassed. He definitely didn't believe that the person in front of him was showing his true character. He felt like Yi Shu must have set this up beforehand in order to ridicule them. It couldn't be said that Kui Li was a petty person. Steam Bun Invasion's brain wasn't something most people could understand regardless. Kui Li thinking in this way meant he was still a normal person. But Steam Bun Invasion wasn't thinking about this at all. He sincerely patted the shoulders of the director, we're all on the same side. Let's take care of each other. His words said one thing, but from his actions, it sounded like he would be looking after them and not the other way around. This time, Chen Guo didn't laugh. She pulled at Steam Bun Invasion, who's following who? How are we on the same side? Aren't we all from the same circle? Steam Bun Invasion said, right. What team did they say they were from? Excellent era. Kui Li was clearly angry as he repeated it again. His face clearly said, keep pretending. You just keep on pretending. But Steam Bun Invasion immediately understood, excellent era. Isn't that team, the one that lost really badly on TV just now? Kui Li. Yes, Chen Guo nodded her head. Ah, Steam Bun Invasion looked at Kui Li with pity. He said in grief, they shouldn't have lost. Quote. This time, Kui Li didn't answer him. He was afraid this was another trap. If he followed up, the other side would mock him. In his eyes, this guy named Steam Bun was very terrifying. Steam Bun, come sit over here. At this moment, Yi Shu had found seats and was already sitting together with Tang Ru. He called Steam Bun Invasion over to sit with them. Steam Bun Invasion turned to look and felt that there was a lot of space near his seat, so he asked Kui Li and Dao Zan, would you like to sit with us? Haha, no need. Kui Li's smile looked very unnatural. If you lost, you lost. There's no need to feel so bad, Steam Bun Invasion consoled them, as long as you try hard, you'll definitely have a future. What the F***ck are you talking about? Kui Li was about to slam the table, but he saw Dao Zan give him an eye, so he didn't make any rash moves. He didn't want to talk to Steam Bun Invasion any longer, so he didn't answer back. Steam Bun Invasion saw that they were ignoring him, so he ran off to sit together with Yi Shu and the rest of the group. Amazing, Tang Ru gave Steam Bun Invasion a big thumbs up. Of course, Steam Bun Invasion said with excitement, but did he actually know what Tang Ru was praising him for? Bao Rongxing. Is that your real name? Chen Guo asked. Yeah. How did you know? Steam Bun Invasion asked excitedly. I was listening when you introduced yourself earlier. Chen Guo tried hard to get used to talking with Steam Bun Invasion. Yup, that's my name. We're all so familiar with each other, so you can just call me Steam Bun, Steam Bun Invasion said. Okay, let's order some food, Chen Guo nodded her head. On the other side, Dao Zan and Kui Li had already gotten up. They looked like they were about to leave. Enjoy yourself. We'll be leaving. Right when they were about to leave, Dao Zan came over and said bye to the four of them. His tone of voice didn't sound polite at all. In fact, it sounded very cold. Have a safe trip home. When you go back, work hard. You can do it. Steam Bun Invasion didn't seem to notice. He didn't say bye. Instead, he cheered them on. Chen Guo nearly burst out laughing again. Soon afterwards, their food arrived. The four of them ate, while chatting with each other. They didn't talk about anything serious until Chen Guo suddenly had a realization. Today was an away match for Excellent Era. They didn't go with their team? Yeah, Yi Shu nodded his head. Even though Chen Guo figured it out a bit slower, she also noticed this issue. Excellent Era was doing terribly, but the two executives of the club didn't seem worried at all. Even for such an important match like today, they didn't go with their team. If it wasn't because of absolute confidence in the team, it must mean that they didn't care about how Excellent Era did this season. With Excellent Era's terrible performances recently, they shouldn't be very confident in the team, which meant that these two executives of Excellent Era didn't have any hopes for this season. But no matter the case, if they get relegated, even if they return the next year, without a year of fighting in the professional league, the financial losses would be huge. It didn't make sense for them not to care about relegations, no? Chen Guo spoke her thoughts as she analyzed these issues. Yi Shu listened and also nodded his head. Do you think that maybe after knowing you're forming a team and preparing to go through the Challenger League, they're losing intentionally to fight against you there? Chen Guo suddenly said. I don't think they'd go that far. Why would they care so much about me? Yi Shu laughed. If that was truly the reason, then they would letting their emotions affect their decisions. Dao Zhan had run the club and taken care of the team for so many years. He had become an experienced boss long ago. How could he make such a decision just for such a simple reason? Yi Shu clearly didn't believe it. In any case, next season, Excellent Era will definitely be making big moves, Yi Shu said. What do you mean? Chen Guo asked. They're already at such a state this season. If they don't make any big moves next season, won't Excellent Era go out of business? Yi Shu said. Then why don't they hurry up and make any movements now? Chen Guo asked. It's probably because they can't do anything right now with their current situation, Yi Shu said as he looked at the seats, where the two had sat in before. Club Excellent Era. After Dao Zhan and Kui Li returned, they went into Dao Zhan's office. Dao Zhan picked out a random bottle of wine from his wine rack and poured out 2 cups. One for him and one for Kui Li. Kui Li took it and sipped on it. He spoke, do you think that guy is actually stupid or acting stupid? Dao Zhan sat in his big chair and stared at the ceiling. After a moment, he said, I don't know. Where did Yi Shu get this guy? Kui Li said. He doesn't matter. How are your discussions going? You didn't get a chance to finish talking about it back there, Dao Zhan said. Everything is going smoothly. Kui Li had a big smile on his face. Have you explained what might happen? Dao Zhan asked. I've explained it all clearly. Good, Dao Zhan nodded his head. What next? Kui Li asked Dao Zhan. Don't have Sunshang come out on stage for now, Dao Zhan said. Okay, Kui Li didn't seem surprised either. They had clearly talked about this arrangement before. He let out a slight expression of hesitation, but it was because of another reason. We might really encounter Yi Chu's team in the revival tournament. That's good too, Dao Zhan smiled, it'll be more fun that way. Chapter 610. Wei Chen arrives. During this April Fool's Day match, even though Excellent Era didn't perform exceptionally well, their competitor had performed just as badly. Thus, that day's featured event passed by without any commotion. Who would have thought that the next day, Club Excellent Era would hold a press conference and throw down a huge bomb? In the press conference, Club Excellent Era's director, Kui Li, announced the recent addition to the team, Sun Shang, will not be participating in the remainder of the matches this season due to health reasons. When Kui Li answered the questions of the reporters, he answered in a very remorseful way. They had noticed Sun Zhang's poor health a long time ago, but because of Team Excellent Era's current predicament, they had insisted that he participated in the matches, but now, it had reached a point where he had to stop. After answering many questions regarding the details of Sun Zhang's condition, Kui Li confidently expressed that despite missing their ace player and character, the team would try even harder for their remaining matches. At the same time, however, Kui Li had stated that the club had already made mental preparations for the worst-case scenario. If the worst-case scenario occurred, the club and the team would face it with a proactive approach. Even though his statements seemed modest and tactful, as professionals, the experienced news reporters could hear what was going on under the surface. Excellent Era had made preparations if they were relegated. This meant that Excellent Era wasn't confident that they would be able to maintain their current position in the rankings. What had happened to Excellent Era for such a famous team to not even be confident that they could stay in the alliance? On paper, Excellent Era shouldn't have any such trouble maintaining their ranking in the alliance even without an ace player like Sun Shang or a god's character like One Autumn Leaf. However, Excellent Era seemed to already be prepared for such a situation. Is Excellent Era really planning on giving up this season and returning through the Challenger League next season? Seeing the news, Chen Guo asked Yishu in disbelief. They had discussed this possibility just last night. I don't think they'd go that far, but it seems like the team really is a mess, Yishu sighed. Excellent Era is going to be finished? Chen Guo had a hard time believing it. Yishu could only shake his head and didn't comment. Wow, wow, wow. A string of repeated cries interrupted their conversation. Bao Rongxing, also known as Steamed Bun Invasion, had been brought over to the team's living quarters after grabbing their late-night snacks. That place had just been given to Chen Guo on April 1st, so she didn't have much time to tidy up the place. However, the wide and spacious living area was enough to make Bao Rongxing cry out in amazement. After resting for the night, it was only until that morning that were they able to finish tidying up the place. At this moment, Bao Rongxing had arrived at Happy Internet Cafe. Last night, it had been too dark to see much and there had also been a huge crowd because of the match broadcast, so he didn't get to have a good look at the Internet Cafe. Now that he had come again, he checked out the whole building from top to bottom. Just like last night, he was crying out in awe all over the place. His cries clearly made Chen Guo very satisfied. She happily looked at Bao Rongxing, who was currently running down the stairs. What a big internet cafe! After Bao Rongxing had said enough wows, he exclaimed loudly in admiration. Once he gave this compliment, he didn't forget to ask, for such a big internet cafe, how many security guards do you have? There hasn't been a need for any. The public security in this area is pretty good. Chen Guo wasn't sure how to answer his question. In any case, from what she remembered, she had never seen a situation where she had needed a professional security guard to take care of the matter. Even though there would occasionally be drunk customers or little thieves coming in, she didn't see the need for a professional security guard. Public security, not all problems can be solved by public security. How about you leave those matters to me, Bao Rongxing confidently said. I don't mind, Chen Guo laughed. Okay, let me see. Can I move that table over there for me to sit at? Bao Rongxing gestured at Happy Internet Cafe's entrance. The table he was pointing at would block half the walkway. I don't think that's necessary, Chen Guo began to sweat. It's necessary. Only if we set it up this way will there not be any holes. If they want to run this way, the table will block them. If they run this way, I'll give them a good punch and a kick. He won't have anywhere to run, Bao Rongxing explained his plan. Chen Guo was starting to get anxious, but she didn't know how to communicate with this guy. At the crucial moment, Yishu stood forth. Bao Rongxing, was this how you did things back at the internet cafe you were working at before? Nope, Bao Rongxing denied. I would only come out when the boss called for me. Then let's do it that way too. If there are any problems, we'll call for you to come out, Yishu said. I'm pretty used to doing it that way. I just don't know if boss will think I'm dependable enough. Bao Rongxing looked over at Chen Guo. Yes. You're more than dependable enough. Here, you should spend most of your time on Glory. If something really does come up, I'll definitely ask you to come out, Chen Guo said. Okay, Bao Rongxing replied with reluctance. Afterwards, Bao Rongxing went to room 213 on the second floor. Thinking about how more team members would eventually arrive, Chen Guo already knew that they would need a much larger practice room. Recently, she had already discussed with several people about remodeling the second floor. However, she hadn't made any deals yet, so room 213 would remain their practice room for now. Bao Rongxing sat inside and once again praised the room. Chen Guo very much liked to hear these words and happily accepted them. Then, they began to play Glory, but even though the four players were sitting close together, they were all very far in the game. Tang Ru and Bao Rongxing were still in the 10th server, but Tang Ru was a much higher level than Bao Rongxing, so they couldn't play together right now. Yishu was in the heavenly domain and continued to level Lord Grimm. Chen Guo's activities in the game were no longer just for fun. She rarely went on her main account. She usually used her alternate account to check on the guild storage and guild members. Apart from that, she frequently checked the forums for any news, trying to find movements of the going-ons in the pro scene. Old Wei still isn't here yet? They had spent most of the morning tidying up the apartment, so Chen Guo told the internet cafe to be on the lookout, but when she returned, she didn't hear about anyone looking for her. He said he'd come today, Yi Shu said. It's already dark. He's still not here, Chen Guo muttered, when her QQ suddenly rang. When she checked it, the little sister at the cash register told her that someone was looking for her. Maybe it's Old Wei, Chen Guo said. Really? Yi Shu put down his game. Tang Ru knew that another member had arrived, so she also got up to meet him. As for Bao Rongxing, he didn't know what was going on, but seeing that everyone else was getting up, he felt like something must have happened and they needed him, so he immediately followed after them. Chen Guo led the way. She walked down the stairs and saw an unshaven fellow smoking up a cloud. He had 2 big bags beside him. His cigarette made the little sister at the cash register knit her brows, but held herself back from saying anything, knowing that this was this boss's guest. This guy didn't seem to notice at all. He just looked around carelessly until his gaze reached the stairs. When he saw Chen Guo, his eyes immediately lit up. Old Wei. At this moment, Chen Guo heard Yi Shu call out. That guy had already started moving towards them. Chen Guo stepped to the side and let Yi Shu stand in front. However, when that guy walked over to them, he didn't shake Yi Shu's hand or anything. He immediately looked at Chen Guo and asked Yi Shu, "Who's this beauty?" "She's our boss," Yi Shu introduced. "Ah, it's nice to meet you." Wei Chen extended his hands out. He wanted Chen Guo to shake his hand. Chen Guo instantly felt conflicted. Her initial impression of Wei Chen was nothing good. And seeing how his eyes lit up when he saw a beauty, her impression of him continued to drop. She really didn't want to shake his hand, but thinking about how he would be a part of the team, as the boss, shouldn't she show her goodwill? Helpless, she extended her right hand too. She had already come to a decision. If this guy didn't let go of her hand to take advantage of her, she wouldn't give him any face. But Wei Chen just shook her hand a few times and said, "Hi, I'm Wei Chen," and then let go, but afterwards, Chen Guo discovered that this guy's gaze had landed on Tang Ru's body. His eyes lit up and as soon as he let go of Chen Guo's hands, his hands seemed to be impatiently heading towards Tang Ru's hands. He asked, "And this is?" Tang Ru. Yi Shu used her real name. Tang Ru had never met Wei Chen in-game, so introducing her by her game ID would be confusing. TL note, Tang Ru's game ID in Chinese is Han Yan Ru, which sounds like an actual name. Good name. It's nice to meet you. Wei Chen immediately wanted to shake Tang Ru's hands. Chen Guo wanted to see how Tang Ru would deal with him, but another hand went up to meet his. "Hi. I'm Bao Rongxing. Those who are familiar with me call me Steamed Bun." "Ah, hi." Wei Chen was surprised by the sudden interruption. Then, he looked at this guy with his long hair. After saying hi, he turned his head to Yi Shu. "These are all the members you've found so far?" "Yeah, even though they're new to the game, they're quite good," Yi Shu said. "Oh, right. Did you see this?" Wei Chen suddenly seemed to have thought of something. He ran back to his bags and fished out a folded newspaper. Yi Shu looked. It was the evening paper in City H. Even though it wasn't specifically for reporting on esports, Excellent Era was a big club in City H, so it gave a brief report on Excellent Era's press conference in the sports section. "Of course I've seen it." Yi Shu only glanced at it. He knew that Wei Chen was certainly referring to this news, so he stuffed it back into the bag. "What is Excellent Era planning? It seems like they're already prepared to get relegated? If they actually get relegated and participate in the Challenger League next season, wouldn't they bump into us? That could be bad," Wei Chen seriously said. Chen Guo was surprised. Wei Chen's previous glances at her and Tang Ru made her think that this person was very dirty, but in an instant, this guy had already begun discussing the biggest issue the team faced. For these guys, glory was the most important thing in their life.